There is no better moment than when you meet your new baby face to face for the first time. But as new moms quickly realize, there are big decisions to be made that affect both you and your child. And we're determined to learn everything we can about the best things to do for their well-being. And we have all the best intentions. But then one day, reality shows up and it's hungry. So if you're a new mom or you're about to become a new mom, congratulations and stay tuned because today we've got some of the most knowledgeable baby experts at our disposal. While most new moms know that breastfeeding is the best for their baby, a vast majority of information that's out there is just not clear enough. The American Academy of Pediatrics has specific recommendations for giving our babies the best start in life. Here's Dr. Tanya Altman with more on the subject.
The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends exclusively breastfeeding for the first 6 months of life, and then adding in some solids or complementary food and continuing to breastfeed until at least 12 months of age, and as long really as mom and baby desire. You can breastfeed as long as you're enjoying it and your baby's enjoying it. Breast milk is really the best source of nutrition for your infant. There's so many wonderful benefits. So breastfeed as long as you can, but especially for the first 6 to 12 months of life.
Well, even if your children are very grown up now, chances are you still have vivid memories of how each of them nursed when they were babies. I know I do. It can be an intense and challenging time with some very important nursing decisions involved that affect both your baby and everyone else in your family. And speaking of families with new babies, we'd like to introduce you to one right now.
This is Sebastian Alexandru Siska. He was born a month ago, and he's very serious about his feeding time. He doesn't take it lightly. My name is Kishna Siska, and I have 4 kids now. I have a 14-year-old, 12-year-old, and 9.5-year-old, and newborn who's a month old. I really enjoy breastfeeding for multiple different reasons. One, the bonding you get to experience with the baby is special and unique. 2, breast milk is best. I've had times where I was seriously ill with other kids that when I was breastfeeding and the baby never got anything. I really enjoy breastfeeding, and it's really relaxing. And the baby gets really relaxed and the mom really relaxed. The beautiful thing about breastfeeding is that I find you lose the baby weight. That's also a plus that I found. Yeah. I had to supplement with formula for my first one. And she was the worst nurser and lost too much weight, and she'd sleep on the boob. So she'd nurse for 5 minutes and then fall flat asleep. My second one was an excellent nurser. She was fantastic. I never had to supplement. She breastfed till 15 months. And my third one was a good nurser too, but he stopped at 7 months when he started biting. That ended real quick. And this one, he's doing really well. He's a good nurser. But this one, I'm going back to work earlier than I did with my other 3, so I'm gonna be pumping, making bottles. So I think it's gonna go well.
As a working mom, my breast pump was my best friend. I took it with me to work every day. I traveled around the country speaking with my breast pump. Sometimes my baby came with me, but I couldn't always bring him with me. So I would leave him at home, take my breast pump with me, collect breast milk, fly home with a cooler, store it in the refrigerator or the freezer, and the caregivers would provide my sons with my breast milk. And of course, I wanted to nurse as much as possible, but I couldn't always be there 24/7. So as a working mom, I did my best to provide both my boys with my breast milk, and sometimes that came from me, and sometimes it came from my breast pump. But I think the most important thing is to be flexible. We know that it's important to breastfeed, and we know that's the best thing for our children, but we can't always be with them. So luckily, with today's modern conveniences, there are so many ways to be away from your baby and still provide the baby with your breast milk.
I'm sure so many moms out there can relate to the very real issues, decisions, and stress associated with nursing. But if you're feeling that stress today, know that you're not alone. In fact, experts say nursing is one of the most important and most challenging aspects of motherhood. I can definitely relate to that. And that's why I can't wait to introduce you to our next guests. They've got the A to Z on all things nursing. I've got Jenny Lockwood-Mullaney from the infant feeding brand Tommee Tippee here, and registered nurse and board-certified lactation consultant Anne-Marie Sawicki. Welcome, ladies. What a great topic to talk about, a hot topic to talk about. I went through it. It was very rewarding, but also very stressful. And now, so you deal with both stay-at-home moms and you deal with career moms.
Yes.
From all of your experiences, what would you say is the driving force that makes them decide whether to nurse or to bottle feed?
Truly is a personal decision for every mom. Every mom wants to do the best for their baby, and they know the health benefits, and breast milk is the best choice. Every mom should know that a little bit of breast milk is better than none, and more is better than some. And that's where I come in. I get them off to the right start.
Right.
It's hard in the beginning. The first week, I'm not going to lie to you, it is hard. But getting off
For
to
the first week.
Yeah.
For the first month. It's tough, but it's worth it. I don't want to underscore that, but it's not something that you just step into or fall into. So let's talk about the challenges both for breastfeeding and for bottle feeding.
Yes. Challenges getting off to the right start, knowing how breastfeeding works, having a little bit of knowledge about how breastfeeding works, getting educated with their significant other, going to prenatal classes, and then having a healthcare provider that's going to support them in their views on how they're going to feed their baby.
So you think one of the major challenges is just not having the support then?
Well, you experience the challenges. Some moms have to go back to work. Some moms are stay-at-home moms, but they also want the ability to go back and forth from breast to bottle. And you might have to use a breast pump to get you started.
Talk about that, Jenny. You have 3 children, 2 of which were preemies.
Yeah.
That had its own set of challenges. Can you tell us about those?
Yep. Well, each baby's different, and each one of them brings their own experience of breastfeeding. So even when you've breastfed one, the second and third, it could be a very different experience again, which was the case with me. My oldest was full term and latched pretty readily, but then second baby, preemie, needed support in the hospital, needed feeding tubes and all that extra pumping to get the milk supply established and to get something that he would take by mouth was a big challenge. And then the third one had her own personality. So it's different every time, every woman, every baby. So certainly the relationship between the body and the baby and the products and equipment plays a big role.
I think most people should know that even though you choose to exclusively breastfeed, at some point you might be transitioning and you may need a bottle.
Yes.
In your experience, do most women both breastfeed and at some point use bottle?
Yes, the majority of moms don't have the luxury of staying at home. At some point, they do have to return back to work. The majority of the workforce are women, and a good portion of those are of childbearing age. So a pump to continue the breast milk is going to make it a lot easier.
Jenny, you are, as we said, a mom of 3. But you also work for Tommee Tippee, which is an award-winning infant feeding company, been around for 50 years, and they're all about extension, right? It's about allowing women to breastfeed for as long as they want, or to going even further than they expected maybe.
Yeah.
And they have some really great products that help them do that. Can you tell me a little bit of what they've done to sort of help women get through this time?
Sure. Well, we're all about trying to make life easier for moms and families, and nursing is its own rewarding experience for sure, but in those cases where mom isn't nursing, you still have to get that milk into the baby through a bottle. So there's a variety of options to do that. Our newest launch is actually called Pump and Go, and the real innovation here is that it has a single pouch. Mom pumps directly into the pouch. She uses an adapter from her hospital grade pump or her personal pump, pumps right in here, puts the lid on, and then she stores, warms, and feeds from the same pouch. So there's none of that transferring, pouring, the risk of spilling. You don't want to lose a single drop. Liquid gold. Liquid gold. So Pump and Go allows mom to then take this pouch, snaps it right into a bottle, and feed the baby. But it also starts with the nipple, because the comfort the baby experiences while bottle feeding has a lot to do with mouthfeel and what their experience is. Silicone nipples can feel a lot like mom's nipple. They have a lot of pliability. They move in every direction. They can take on the warmth of the formula or the milk that's behind them. They also have a venting system that moves the air through so that it's a comfortable and smooth feed. So today's bottles and nipples aren't the ones our mothers used with us.
I don't think they were the ones that I used, to be honest, 5 years ago.
Yep.
That's crazy.
So our latest innovation actually involves taking the nipple and putting it off center.
And why is that?
It allows the milk to stay in one continuous direction so that baby can feed in a very continuous way. It's smooth, it's comfortable, it's baby-led. They can control the flow better. It has a contour zone, which is more like mom's breast. And overall, bottles and the innovation behind them are making breast-to-bottle transition smoother and easier for families.
Well, how lucky are we to live at a time when we get such great support and have such great products to make this process a little bit easier. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us today. Such great information.
Thank you for having us.
And you can head straight to TommeeTippee.com to learn more. And of course, you can also head to accesshealth.tv. Welcome back. As many of you are well aware, every baby is different. Some love breastfeeding and some love bottle feeding and some actually love both. But what about baby Sebastian? Let's check back with the Siska family and find out.
At 4 weeks, which is the age of my infant, I started transitioning, pumping, and having him start to get used to the nipple from this age so that going back to work, it's not like a stressful thing leaving him and him not wanting to take the bottle properly and all that good stuff. The brand I've been using, they didn't have it around when I had my other kids. I have my own business. I'm a physical therapist. I have my own practice. So when I go back, I'm gonna do a gradual transition, you know, a couple hours at a time and then gradually get to a full day. So the Tommee Tippee pump and go system, you get the sterile bags, you get the various nipples depending on the age of the baby. You get the transitioning tops that can go from the pump to the bottle. And I like the wider bottles. The Tommee Tippee comes with the wider bottle. The baby, when the baby does eventually get to hold, it's easier than some of those skinny, narrow ones. And it comes with the nipple that's very similar to nature. Soft and supple, not hard, thick plastic. The pump and go system with transitioning from being with your baby to going back to work, from being able to create a time at work to pump the bottles for your baby for the next day or for when you head home, I find to be an easy system, very doable, very no nonsense. And I recommend it to new moms transitioning back to work and fretting or worrying about how they're going to be able to still take care of their baby with the breast milk and continue that breastfeeding time for as long as they can. Myself being, you know, the babies know your smell and they know you and they know what's about to happen whenever they come close to you with the nursing. So they always say the mom's not the one to feed the bottle. When you do pump at work, they go into those sterile plastic bags and the plastic bag goes straight into the fridge. I don't have to worry about it spilling or worry about the transitioning from when I pump to putting it into the fridge that I might spill it or lose some or bacteria getting in there. So this guy, I started pumping last week and he's been taking the bottle. So I'm lucky. I think it'll work out.
What a beautiful family. We wish the Siskas and all of your growing families the very best. We'll be right back. Our next story comes from Fremont, Michigan. I paid a visit to Gerber Baby Foods last fall to learn all about a stage-based nutritional journey for our kids and the science behind it. Let's take a look. The year was 1927. Dorothy Gerber had no idea she was setting the stage for her own legacy while straining peas for her 7-month-old daughter. The Gerber brand was born from a mother's resourcefulness and desire to provide her babies with homegrown nutrition. Today, Gerber is still a leader in providing infant and toddler nourishment solutions for busy moms. Gerber joined the Nestle family in 2007, forming forming a powerhouse of research, knowledge, and expertise to continue leading the way in early childhood nutrition. I headed to Gerber headquarters in Fremont, Michigan. I'm meeting with Dr. Ryan Carvalho, Medical Director for Nestle Infant Nutrition. Hi, Doctor.
Hi, Ereka. Welcome to Gerber's Nutrition Kitchen.
Well, thank you for having me. Very cool. I'm so excited to talk to you. Got so many questions. I'm passionate, maybe mildly obsessed with my family's health and nutrition, and of course in educating other families on nutrition. So let's start from the beginning. Gerber and Nestle both have a long history and foundation in the food and beverage industry. How do they come together and pool their resources?
The amalgamation of these two gives us this unique opportunity to meet our commitment on nourishing a healthier generation of children by focusing on the period from pregnancy to the first 2 years of life, often referred to as the first 1,000 days. During these 1,000 days, infants go from learning to crawl, to stand, to walk, vocalizing, learning new words, and then talking. And what's also important is that they're learning new developmental milestones as it relates to feeding, like chewing and swallowing. And this is why this first 1,000 days is unique, and the role of nutrition is very important during this period.
Is there any research that supports the importance of childhood nutrition?
Back in 2002, Gerber commissioned the Feeding Infant and Toddler Study, very commonly called FITS, where they looked to see what infants, toddlers, and preschoolers were actually eating. And we learned a lot of information about how much of their diet consists of grains, fruits, vegetables, meats, milk, sweets, and fats. What we learned was that fruits and vegetables are not consumed as much as they need to be consumed.
Yep.
When you look across the population, dietary patterns are set very early in life, which tells us that what you feed your child early in life can be critical to their feeding behaviors later in life.
So this goes back to the first 1,000 days.
That's
It
absolutely right.
really is that important. So then how does Gerber take this information from FITS and apply it to real solutions that parents can use?
So what we've done is we've taken all the learnings that we obtained from FITS, in addition to the clinical research that is being done, to develop a stage-based journey to meet the nutritional needs of infants, toddlers, and children at a developmentally appropriate way. So we feel very proud of the FITS study and the contribution that FITS and our clinical research has made to the community.
Well, Doctor, thank you so much for having me today. It was just wonderful information.
Our pleasure, Ereka, and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
You might be surprised to learn the basic dangers that lurk all around us that can trigger an asthma attack. Here with lots of insight is Michelle Casalia of the Asthma Allergy Foundation of America. Welcome, Michelle, to our show.
Thanks for having me.
I'm really excited you're here because I think most of us know what asthma is, but I don't think we realize how serious it really can be.
Asthma can be deadly. Over 60 million Americans have asthma and allergies. 10 people a day die from an asthma attack alone.
That I did not expect to hear. So let's jump right in. And can you identify some of the more common triggers?
Sure, triggers are found everywhere, right? Some of the common ones may be pollen, dust mites, pet dander, cigarette smoke, air pollution, just to name a few.
How about the uncommon ones, some we might not think of?
Well, you would be surprised, even the common cold, the flu can be a trigger,
Right.
and even exercise. Especially in children, it can induce an asthma allergy attack.
That I definitely did not expect. That's good to know. This is such great information. Where can we go for more information?
You can go to our website. It has a wealth of information on asthma and triggers and everything else concerning asthma at the Asthma Allergy Foundation of America.
Great, and that is aafa.org. And of course, you can always go to our website at accesshealth.tv. Michelle, thank you again for coming. What a wealth of information.
I want to wish baby Sebastian, the Siskas, and all of you the best of success and good health. And for all the great baby resources you saw today, just head over to accesshealth.tv and don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. See you next time.